Welcome back to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right? That electric, sometimes just frantic energy around the summer football transfer window.
Oh, yeah. It's constant.
1 minute a player's linked here, next minute it's denied, then suddenly, bang, it's confirmed. It's just this whirlwind of rumors, whispers, actual news.
It moves so fast.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes it feels impossible to keep up properly.
Exactly. So how do we, cut through all that noise? How do we get to what's really going on?
Well, that's pretty much why we're here today, isn't it? This deep dive is basically your shortcut to understanding this, let's face it, really complex world of player moves.
Right.
We're digging into exclusive insider info, the kind that hopefully gives you some real clarity. We're pulling out the most important bits for you.
That's the plan. We've got the very latest updates straight from a top football insider. We're going to unpack it all piece by piece.
And we were talking about some big names, the ones everyone's debating right now.
Definitely. We'll try and give you the definitive word, or as close as we can get, on Jadon Sancho's future. We'll get into the truth, or the current truth anyway, about Benjamin Sesko potentially going to Arsenal.
Well, Joe and Pedro, too,
yeah,
where he might end up. And Nico Williams, that whole Barcelona situation with the finances involved. It's intricate.
It really is. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because these aren't just, names on a list.
No, they're stories.
Oh.
High-stakes talks, player ambitions, club plans, money. It's all in there.
So stick with us. We'll try and untangle these threads.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, Jadon Sancho. His situation, it feels like it's been a talking point for ages now. What's the absolute latest from our source? What's Manchester United's main goal this summer?
Okay, so our insider makes this crystal clear. Manchester United's #1 priority for Sancho this summer: a permanent transfer.
Right, not another loan.
Exactly. They want to sell him outright. This isn't about just getting him off the books temporarily. The core idea is make a profit if possible and just move him on this summer.
Okay, that's pretty definitive. But despite that very firm stance, we are still hearing about loan interest, aren't we? Napoli keeps coming up.
Yeah, that's true. There is genuine interest in a loan deal, and Napoli are definitely one of those clubs.
There's always a but, isn't there? What's the big hurdle?
Well, it's the usual suspect, really. The massive hurdle is his salary. Napoli are just not willing, or maybe not able, to cover his current wages.
Ah, okay. So it's not just finding a club that wants him on the pitch.
Not at all. It's navigating the financial side of these huge contracts. Our source says for a permanent move to happen, Sancho would probably need to take a pretty big pay cut.
And that's not going to be easy, I think was the phrase.
That's exactly it. Not going to be easy. And this really shows something bigger,
Yeah.
It's getting harder, even for top clubs, to shift players on big wages.
Even when other clubs actually want them.
Right. It's not just finding a buyer anymore. It's untangling the money side, the contract details. It's complicated.
Yeah, it really highlights the power players on those big contracts have, even if the selling club is keen to move them on. So Napoli might wait a bit, see if things change later in the window.
They're willing to wait a little while, yeah. See if maybe United's position softens, or if Sancho's does. But they won't wait forever.
So the ball's kind of in United's court, or Sancho's.
Pretty much. It's a waiting game. United will likely have to compromise somewhere if they want that permanent deal done.
And just quickly, there were those English rumors about Jack Grealish maybe going to Napoli?
Yes. Our insider confirmed that's not happening. Grealish is not a target for Napoli. Apparently he was offered to them, but they're looking at completely different players.
Okay, good clarification. That's exactly the kind of detail that cuts through the noise.
Exactly.
Right, from one tricky situation at United to another swirling rumor mill. Benjamin Sesko. We've seen quite a lot coming out of Germany suggesting there's an agreement on personal terms between him and Arsenal.
Yeah, those reports are definitely out there.
But our insider brings a bit of nuance to that, right? Yeah. Is it really as well done as some are making out?
That's the crucial point. As of the latest update we got, there is still no complete agreement between everyone involved.
Everyone meaning?
Meaning Sesko himself, his agent, Arsenal, and importantly, RB Leipzig.
Ah, okay. So all four parties aren't quite aligned yet.
Not completely, no. And this whole still no complete agreement thing, despite the chatter, it feels like classic transfer market stuff, doesn't it?
Oh, so?
Well, clubs or agents sometimes leak things strategically, Maybe to put pressure on someone else, maybe just to manage expectations. It's like a poker game played out in the media sometimes.
Right. Okay. So it's not like a handshake deal, everything signed off. It's more complex than just agreeing personal terms.
Exactly. And personal terms, just so everyone's clear, that's the contract between the player and the buying club,
Yeah.
right? Salary, contract length, bonuses, all that stuff. So while talks are definitely happening, they are ongoing. Trying to sort out the transfer fee with Leipzig and those personal terms of Sesko, our source is firm. Nothing is fully done right now.
So active situation, contacts ongoing, but not finalized.
Precisely. No definitive confirmation yet.
And interestingly for Arsenal, it's not just Sesko they're looking at in that position. Victor Gyökeres is still an option too.
Yeah, he remains a strong alternative for them, especially if, the price is right, if it aligns with what Arsenal are willing to pay.
So it's a fluid situation, multiple irons in the fire for Arsenal, keeping their options open. Makes sense.
Absolutely. It's a dance, like you said, not a done deal. Clubs always need backup plans, especially for a key position like strikers.
Okay. And speaking of fluid situations, let's shift to João Pedro at Brighton. Our insider reckons he's expected to leave this summer.
That's the expectation, yes. He seems open to leaving Brighton, though obviously negotiations need to happen and Brighton gets the final say.
Right. Now, this one feels like it has history attached. Newcastle's interest. It's pretty well known, isn't it? Almost like they've been watching him forever.
It really goes back. They actually wanted to sign him before he even went to Brighton.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, apparently a deal was verbally agreed at one point, but then it collapsed for some reason. So he's stayed firmly on their recruitment list ever since.
So persistent.
Very. Our source confirms they have made contact with Brighton about him again recently. But, and this is the key part, there's still no agreement, club to club.
So talks are happening, but no deal struck yet. That long-term interest, though, it says a lot about scouting departments, doesn't it?
It really does. It's not just about who's hot right now, but tracking players over years. So yeah, Newcastle are actively working on it, but it's not over the line.
But they're not the only big club interested, are they? Chelsea's name has come up too.
Yes. Chelsea rate João Pedro very highly. He's definitely on their list, potentially as part of their offensive package this summer.
What's the attraction for Chelsea specifically?
Well, what seems interesting to them is his versatility. He can play across different forward positions. Plus, he's seen as having big potential. And crucially,
He knows the Premier League already.
exactly, that reduces the adaptation risk, which is a huge plus for clubs bringing players in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, a very practical reason. However, despite Chelsea rating him, our source says still no negotiations have actually started.
That's right. Nothing advanced yet with Chelsea. They appreciate him. He's on the list, but no active talks right now. They did look at Gyökeres before, remember?
Oh yeah, the 100 million price tag.
Way too expensive for them at the time. So, João Pedro is clearly in demand. Newcastle are pushing. Chelsea are seriously considering him. But where he ends up, still very much up in the air.
It really shows how clubs weigh things up: potential, price, fit, Premier League experience. Fascinating.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move over to Spain. Barcelona, they've actually made their first official summer signing, haven't they? Joan Garcia, the goalkeeper from Espanyol.
Yeah, that one's done. 25 million, 6-year deal. Solid start for them.
But the real saga, the one testing their financial limits, involves Nico Williams from Athletic Bilbao. What's the latest twist here?
Well, the huge factor, the thing that changes the whole dynamic, according to our insider, is what Nico Williams himself wants.
And what is that?
He wants to go to Barcelona. Full stop. He's apparently given them the green light. He's told other clubs who are interested, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, were mentioned that his clear intention is Barca.
Wow. So he's basically shut down talks with others.
Effectively, yes. He stopped those conversations, that kind of player power, where their specific preference could just override interest from other massive clubs. That's a really defining feature of the market these days.
Yeah, that's huge. It puts all the pressure on Barcelona now to actually make it happen. So what's the main obstacle? We know finances are often tricky for them.
Yep, you guessed it.
Yeah.
The main hurdle, our source highlights, is that 58 million release clause in his Athletic Bilbao contract.
Right. You pay that, you get the player, assuming they agree terms.
In theory, yes. But Barcelona are now working really hard to figure out how to activate this Nico option, as our source puts it. The issue isn't just having the 58 million. It's making it work technically.
Meaning financial fair play.
Exactly. They need to fit it within the FFP rules, which, as we know, dictate spending based on income to keep clubs stable. It's always a bit of a balancing act for them.
And Athletic Bilbao, meanwhile, they've offered him a new contract too, just in case.
Yeah, hedging their bets. If the Barca move falls through, maybe he'll stay.
So it's not just about paying the clause, it's the whole FFP puzzle for Barcelona, especially given their recent financial history. It makes every big deal a strategic challenge.
Absolutely. And while Nico seems set on Barca, Bayern Munich are just waiting.
Waiting in the wings.
Pretty much. They apparently see Nico as the perfect target for them. They've already had a couple of meetings with his people. So if Barcelona can't get the deal done, for whatever reason, Bayern are ready. They'd absolutely like to try again. But for right now, our insider is clear. Nico only has eyes for Barcelona.
It's such a great example, isn't it? Player preference versus club finances versus release clauses. A proper transfer triangle.
It really is. A fascinating dynamic to watch play out over the summer.
So, wrapping this all up, what does this actually mean for you, the listener, trying to follow all this?
Well, we've just navigated through the chaos, really, of the transfer market.
It's dynamic, it's complex, often totally unpredictable.
Yeah, we've seen how what players want, what clubs need strategically, and the hard reality of money, how it all just collides. It creates these incredible, sometimes really drawn-out stories.
It's true. These negotiations, they really shine a light on that delicate power balance, don't they? Between the players, their agents, and these huge football clubs.
It makes you ask, doesn't it? What's the real value of a player? Is it just the transfer fee? Or does their personal choice, the fact they want to go somewhere specific, have its own massive value? Especially when that choice can influence these multi-million euro decisions, potentially overriding what clubs might even prefer financially or strategically.
Exactly. How much is that choice actually worth in the grand scheme of things? Something to think about, definitely, as this window keeps unfolding.
Oh, sure.
We'll be right here, of course, continuing to dive deep into it all for you, trying to cut through that noise and bring you the insights that